One of the reasons why we should be incredibly skeptical of government power is because a lot of times the people who tend to go into government are people who can't hack it in the private sector. These are people who are not that talented, not that bright, and giving them the police power is never a good idea because when they inevitably mess stuff up, they'll use the levers of government to try and enforce actions against you rather than acknowledging their faults. And what we're going to talk about today is a story out of Atlanta, Georgia, where, of course, it's a Democratic run city, even though it's an overall Republican state, and the incompetence of their buildings department, because apparently one of the mistakes that their buildings department ends up making time and time again is destroying the incorrect home and then giving the homeowner bills and fines due to the fact that their property has been reduced to debris. Now, this story is absolutely horrific. It's absolutely ridiculous. But before we get into that, I just want to say I'm going to be in Austin, Texas, April 15th. I've told you about it before. It's for the Minds Fest. I'm not speaking at the event, but I'll be in and around there. So if you want to get tickets and you spot me, you can meet me. We can hang out. There's going to be a bunch of speakers there and all of that. It's also being done at the comedy club that Joe Rogan tends to perform at now that he's moved to Austin. So maybe, hopefully, he'll make an appearance and you might get to meet him. I'm hoping to meet him. But yeah, April 15th, link in the description for tickets.
Yeah, Lawton Street, Karen. Keep that in mind. That's a key part of the story. That address is written right there on the screen. You can see this lot right now. Just a vacant, empty lot. But the homeowner here says that address was wrong in communication with the city. They were referencing Lawton Avenue. That's a whole different place.
So this local news report is 100% right about what happened in this scenario. The Atlanta Buildings Department, whatever they call these stupid things, I always forget and it's always different from city to city, sent out a notice repeatedly that they were going to destroy a property at Lawton Avenue. However, due to incompetence, they end up showing at Lawton Street and destroy a property that's, I think, around 100 years old in a historic area. It looked absolutely beautiful. I'm telling you, you're going to see the pictures and you're going to be really annoyed. And then, of course, they take no responsibility for it and they end up trying to bill this person because obviously there's a pile of rubble on the site and the homeowner is supposedly responsible for the blight, even though the city of Atlanta, by all accounts, is the one who made the mistake and obliterated the wrong property.
In the process of a remodel, they come with bulldozers and knock the entire house down. It's just gut-wrenching. I don't even like looking at it.
This century-old home used to sit on this West End lot near the Beltline. Everett Tripodis and his mother bought it as an investment property.
This is prime real estate.
But the City of Atlanta's Code Enforcement Division demolished the home.
I mean, look at that property right there. It's very nice looking. You look at the neighborhood that it's in, obviously a classier area of Atlanta, and they just wiped it out. It's beautiful, and it's bought as an investment property by this young guy and his mother, and it's absolutely shameful that this happened.
Tripodis says he had listed the home with the city's vacant property registry as required by law. But he says the city sent its code enforcement notices and orders to the wrong addresses. You can see from the case file, certified letters to an incorrect address were marked return to sender.
It blows my mind how they could have mistakenly sent these to the wrong address.
And look at the demolition hearing notice. The address for demo, 311 Lawton Avenue, zip code 30314. But Tripodis' home is on Lawton Street, zip code 30310.
This guy follows the rules and registers his property with Atlanta's vacant property registry. Now, first and foremost, I just want to point out that all of these big left-wing Democratic cities have a bunch of stupid regulations that ultimately end up making you vulnerable to these kind of things, like the fact that you have to register with the city all the properties that are currently vacant at the moment. It's almost as if you're setting up a database in normal circumstances for somebody who wants to break into a home, steal appliances, steal copper wire, to figure out which of those homes are unoccupied in order to do so. But that's something that is being demanded by the city of Atlanta, and honestly, it's shameful that they asked for that, and that ultimately ends up leading to this situation where you have another property with the same numerical address, but on Lawson Avenue rather than Lawson Street, that's in violation. But because this was recently registered, they end up going to this property. And I'm sure there's some confusion in terms of the navigation and all that stuff, and that the people who did the bulldozing didn't think they were at the wrong place. But yeah, this is a huge problem, and it could have been avoided if not for the fact that you have this stupid, unnecessary regulation that just makes it more difficult for people who are trying to get into the property business to follow, which is registering your vacant properties with the city, because for some reason the city needs to know that. Again, just another way that needless red tape ends up hurting people in the extreme sense in this case, but also is just time consuming, and it's just a way that the city of Atlanta and any of these major cities that have these types of regulations can generate fine after fine after fine, because this is what they want to do: extract as much value from their productive citizens as possible, because they see their productive citizens as the enemy. And by the way, I guarantee you, if you walked up to these Atlanta city council members, they tell you their number one priority is housing. They care so hard about housing. That's why they're not caring enough to determine that they're destroying the right house.
Lawton Avenue does exist, but it is a different zip code. In fact, it's 1.4 miles down the road from the Tripodis home.
I come and meet the contractor out one morning, and the whole house is gone. Everything's gone, nothing but dirt.
Now you can see there's a huge distinction between Lawton Avenue and Lawton Street in the makeup of the homes. Don't think I didn't notice that home specifically being boarded up, but as you could see, you're looking at an upper echelon area on Lawton Street versus a more middle class area, working class kind of area. The homes are definitely nice, but compared to what you could probably get in Georgia for more money, this seems like average home values, except I do think that is a bit of a red flag that that's boarded up. But for all we know, that could have been the home that was intended to be destroyed that is still up there, because the city of Atlanta is completely and utterly incompetent in every possible way.
A city inspector found the home unfit for habitation because of junk and debris and an unsecured entry.
So they have a city inspector that says that the home was unfit for habitation due to debris and all these other issues, and their response is to destroy the property. But again, this isn't even the appropriate property that they wanted to destroy, but they just obliterated it anyway because, you know, why not? And also, if you're thinking that this story can't possibly get worse, trust me, it can, because not only does the city just obliterate your property by mistake, and by the way, they've done this before. In fact, this local news station covered this story from a week prior, but they also send you an outrageous bill.
Tripodis reached out to me after seeing our Channel 2 Action News investigation last week. Andre Hadno stuck with a nearly $700,000 lien on his Atlanta property for a code enforcement demolition.
Did you take each brick and individually blast it off into space? I mean, for $700,000.
Gotta love that guy right there, where he's like, $700,000 to destroy my property, which, by the way, I didn't want to be destroyed by mistake. And then he's like, what did they do? Did they shoot all the bricks up into space individually? Apparently, this is just how Atlanta operates. They will obliterate your property by mistake because they have the wrong address, completely destroy it for code enforcement, which is kind of hilarious because they're like, you know, this place is not up to code. We don't think that people should live here, so let's obliterate the property, and then they'll send you a bill. And by the way, it's not just the bill that they send you. They'll also fine you for the debris that's in that area, because they'll say that you're causing blight in that area. So they denied this guy's claim after destroying his place wrongfully, sending him the bill, and now this guy finds himself in that exact same position.
In Tripodis' case, Atlanta City Council denied to pay out his claim for damages, writing, quote, "The council has determined that the city cannot accept responsibility for this matter and therefore cannot pay this claim." He has now filed this lawsuit against the city.
The city demolishes the property and then sends you a bill for accidentally or mistakenly negligently demolishing your house.
Now, I just want to point out, because we're talking about the city of Atlanta, which is a large black population in the state of Georgia, I believe it's a majority black city, that these are two black entrepreneurial people that own property, good property, that they were planning to make improvements on in order to have something to build up for themselves, for their future, and now they're screwed over by the very city that prides themselves on representing them not just as constituents, but as black people. If you go to, again, the city of Atlanta, they'll talk all about how they're trying to build up black excellence and all that, and in these cases, they are quite literally, because of their haphazard enforcement and lacking of care about people who own property within their city limits, tearing down the black tech entrepreneur one by one, and I'm thinking that if this happened 2 times in 2 weeks and it's been brought to the local news's attention, that if you're paying attention to what's going on, you might find other cases of this. Obviously, this is an absolute disaster. Obviously, I am rooting for both of these individuals to sue the city of Atlanta in order to get what is due to them. But I also would really like if they had like a Give, Send, Go or a GoFundMe for somebody to send me that so I could pin it so people could go support these guys, because you should not have your right to private property being violated just because you have some overzealous and idiotic people working in your buildings department that demand you register property as vacant, which then triggers a bunch of ridiculous things that can lead to your space being destroyed. I mean, again, this guy said that he showed up with the contractor probably to like redo the kitchen and then found his home in a pile of rubble because the city destroyed it because it was the complete wrong address. Can we get a court hearing before your property is destroyed? Can we get some checks with the owner, maybe checks with the area before they send in the bulldozers, not some certified mail being sent to the wrong address and that being returned to sender, because it's the wrong address? This is ridiculous and absurd, but again, this is what you tend to expect from Democrat-run cities. They happen to have just regulation on top of regulation on top of regulation, and when you have that much red tape, that many bureaucrats trying to add to the things that people have to deal with that own property, you're going to end up with mistakes and errors like this, and then rather than acknowledge it like you should, like a normal person would, you get them saying, no, and by the way, you owe us money for obliterating your property. 100-year-old home in a historic Atlanta area just obliterated because the city's buildings department doesn't know the difference between a street and an avenue. Absolutely insane. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, you can show them by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social medias. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the incompetence of Atlanta. Till next time.